Alright, hello. So you've probably seen the title of this video already, called Fought Baal. Okay, it's really a reference to football, okay? And we're going to go through and decode this number plate because if you recall a video or two back when I was talking and I was using my decode chart, the chart of a reign, this number, it was tied in with Peyton Manning's numbers and Ozzy's death number. Okay, there was all sort of a group of numbers right there, and the 437 was tied into that. So what I'm going to show you is this decode with the ULG now, and also with Ozzy, and how it ties into this number plate and football. Boy, we've got a ton to get through, so probably if you can bear to put this in 1.5 speed, put it up to 1.5 and you'll get through it a little quicker. I've got a ton of stuff. All these tabs here, we've got a ton of number jumps, and it's all really, really, really interesting. And this is extremely interesting, this decode here. So this number plate. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some Jurassic Liars style decoding here. Let me show you. Now, if you've ever watched Jurassic Liars, and I haven't watched him for a while, the last time I saw him actually was on Decoding with Cody. But there's an old decode that he's got, and it's this thing here. It's the alphabet running normally, and then just a reverse alphabet underneath, right? And his decode is this with Elvis, right? So it's Elvis, okay, and then you take the numbers of Elvis, you take the letters of Elvis. So we go to E here, and this would be a V. So let me change colors so I can just show you this, how it works. So you took the name Elvis. So the E would be a V, the L would be an O, the V, where's the V? Come on, would be an E, the I would be an R, and then the S would be a H. Okay, and then so you've got this that comes out as a sort of hidden twin of Elvis, right? Now rearrange that and it comes out, or anagram it, whatever you want to say, it comes out as hover. Now of course Back to the Future 2 has the hoverboard scene, and I relate that back to, you know, just stick an extra 0 in there, and then we're talking about the dam. Okay, we're talking about the Hoover Dam. So hover and Hoover, super duper interesting. Jehovah, yeah, those kind of ideas. But anyway, this is his technique for you know, getting hover out of Elvis. Now this is obviously very interesting when it comes to Back to the Future because of the hoverboard scene. Okay, right? So anyway, and obviously Elvis is born the same year as the Hoover Dam is completed. Okay, 1935. But anyway, let's get rid of that because I want to show you this stuff with Ozzy now, because this is where it gets really interesting. Now, you know, Ozzy did his Back to the Beginning gig, his final gig, Back to the Beginning, yeah, like Back to the Future, Back to the Beginning at a football stadium, Villa Park, okay, Aston Villa, the home of Aston Villa. Now, or at least I think it is. That's where he did it. I probably should have checked that properly, but I assume that's where he did it. It's Villa Park, right? Unless there's another Villa Park that I don't know about up in Birmingham. Anyway, Ozzy. Let's do it for Ozzy now, okay? Let's do this technique, the Jurassic Liars technique for Ozzy, okay? So we go to the O, it's an L, okay? We go to the A, it's a We go to the Z, it's an A. Oh dear. It's not very good doing this kind of stuff with a dyslexic guy, is it? Okay. Not that I know I'm dyslexic, but it's just the way I do things. It's just all over the place. Okay. And then we go to the Y and it's a B. Now, okay, it's not difficult to anagram that one, is it? Because what do we end up with? We're ending up with B A L, Baal, or Baal, or you know, all that false idol worship stuff. This is a real can of worms, right? You can go to Wikipedia and go for all this stuff. I don't really want to get into to the overall meaning of this, so to speak. What I want to do is there is a connection to Baal and being the god of light, of storms, and obviously the connection to the storm that I showed you, with Ozzy's name being at the top of the clock tower, and the two Z's is the lightning. Yeah, and so Zeus relates back to Baal as well. Okay, so this idea of the storm and the lightning relates back to this thing. So this is important to know, that his actual name potentially relates back to Zeus, and potentially relates back, and obviously relates back to this thing when you do the alphabet backwards. Okay, so we've got that. Now we need to come on to, for just whatever reason, I started doing it with the number plate. In fact, I think I did it with the number plate first, and then I did Ozzy and saw it was, because it didn't really make much sense to me to begin with. But I did Ozzy, and all of a sudden that clicked. And anyway, let's do it for this. So the U is an F, the L is an O, and then the G is a T, and so there's your foot, or your fot. So this is what we've ended up with: Baal, fot. Okay, or as we would say in English, we'll do a little bit of rearranging: football. Okay, now we're going to go through some really good number jumps in this video, to do with, we are going to see this number pop up with the FA Cup, which is super duper interesting. I think it was the FA Cup, yeah, to do with the FA Cup winners. So shall I say Crystal Palace this year. So if you're American and you're listening to this, I'm talking about football. We're talking about soccer right now, okay? The other football also ties in with this, with what was I going to say? With American football, okay? There's a reason why they retain the name football with American football instead of calling it some other name, okay? It all relates back to the idea of the foot and the idea of the ball, okay? So I guess we should maybe we should go through the symbolism of these things right now, okay? Before we get onto all the number jumps with this, and get sidetracked and completely forget to do the meaning. You know, what is the symbolism of foot and ball, okay? Like I said, we're not going to get into the can of worms, which is this, but if we do go back to the Bible, though, right, and what you'll notice is that in the Bible there's several references to feet, and if you've ever looked into this thing with feet in the Bible, quite often, and more often than not, it's related to, or it could be related to, phallic symbolism. Okay, so the foot is representing the phallic symbolism. Okay. Now, obviously, what does the bull represent? Yeah, the bull represents, again, the ball is this shape, yeah? So in fact what I should have done is let's just do it like this. So here we have the phallic symbolism, and here we have the ball symbolism, and so we have the number 10, okay? A completion number, a reset number, and this is football. Now you might say, well, hang on a minute, why is the foot a phallic symbolism? You know, because if you recall, Jesus actually has his feet anointed or washed a couple of times, at least I can think of, in the Bible. And there is a whole ceremony with feet, and you might say, because if you try to look this up, you're not going to get a straight answer of, or at least you're not going to get the answer that I'm going to give you here in a second. You're not going to get this relationship explained between the foot, between the foot and the phallic symbolism. You're not going to get that explained, okay? And some of you might even be saying, "What the hell? I've never heard of this before. The foot is is a representation of the phallic symbolism." But anyway, if you go look it up, you'll come across stuff, but it won't explain what is going on here. And in order, I mean, you have to know that the Bible is just full of metaphor, and so the foot, at its very basic level, this idea of washing the feet before coming into somebody's home or something like that, and it happens in many cultures. It happens in our own culture. Most people, when they walk into somebody else's house, or when we walk into our own home, we take our shoes off, okay? Some people may just wipe their feet before they come in. Other cultures, they may even wash their feet before they come into the home. Now, what is the home? Okay, the home is your sanctuary, is essentially the thing that protects you from the elements, the outside elements. It's basically your sanctuary, your temple, if you like, I was going to say safe place. I don't want to get all bloody new agey, but it is the place that you take care of your home. You don't just come in all dirty and just traipse mud in to your home or dirt into your home. You respect that space. Yeah, it's your sanctuary. Let's just keep it a sanctuary, right? It's the thing that protects you from the elements. Yeah. So this is like the idea of going into, like man going into woman. Yeah. Inside, the phallic symbolism is really just the symbol for the physical man. Yeah. Men and women, physical mankind. Okay, the physical body going into a protective environment. Where's the protective environment? It's the womb, yeah? The baby grows in the womb, okay? It is protected from the outside world, okay? This is, and then so going into this thing is going back into a protective environment. This is the home right here, yeah? That is the home, right? And that is the idea of going into the sanctuary, is when you go into the temple, yeah, you go in clean, okay? That is what is referenced in the Bible, to go into. When you go into the metaphysical, you need to go in a pure state, and a pure state is a balanced state, yeah? If you're balanced, you're on the right path. So you have to go into that thing being clean, yeah? Cleanliness is next to godliness, okay? To be clean is to be pure, is to be balanced. So you have to go into, so all these references, so you see with football, here's the ball, which is the home, which is the goddess, which is the metaphysical. When you when the foot, you're having this game with the foot and the ball, but the foot is the reference to the phallic symbolism, which must be, balanced, pure and clean when it goes into the temple. As re-referenced with the feet washing stuff, okay, in the Bible. This idea of before you go into the temple being clean, or somebody's home, your feet being cleaned. Because it's just, this is stuff that you can see for yourself in your own environment. Most people take their shoes off instead of traipsing dirt, inside their home. Okay. Anyway, so this is the reference with football. Okay, so there's the phallic symbolism, and there is the metaphysical symbolism. Okay, and the phallic and the metaphysical symbolism. And look, with Ozzy, we've got the big O at the start of his name. Okay, so where are we going to go from here? Well, there's an absolute ton of football references now. You think back to Decode and you think, hang on a minute, we've got the Virgin Mary with the football reference, with the NFL American football reference, with the trophy. And don't forget, cunning as they are, the American football is Vesica Pisces shaped. Okay, this is the same as the big O, essentially. It's essentially the same symbolism. The Vesica Pisces and this thing. Okay, again called football. So it's we're dealing with the same references. So anyway, I pet goat with the Lombardi trophy there. Anyway, we're going to go through some of the big things to do with. We're going to look at Aston Villa because of Ozzy having his final gig at Aston Villa, and Aston Villa again, AV. The AV is again. This is the V is the womb, and then there's the phallic symbolism. The A. So Aston Villa is going to be a super duper interesting reference. Okay, because of again, it's the same symbolism as that, basically, just in a slightly different format. Okay, so we're going to look at that. We're also going to look at the recent, I would say it's fairly recent, the recent news story with Donald Trump and Chelsea. That whole thing with him giving he presented the trophy to Chelsea for the FIFA, whatever it was, Club World Cup winners. And then we're also going to look at the FA Cup as well for this year, because that's really interesting as well with this particular number right here. It's extremely interesting. Right, so I think we can come off of here now. If we need to come back to this and scribble on it a bit, we will. But I do want to show you something. I guess maybe, do I want to save this? I don't think we need to come back to this now. I think I've pretty much explained all of this. I guess there is one more. I guess I can just do that bit of writing though on when we get to the actual place where I need to do. There is a little bit more to this number plate which I want to explain, because if you write this number, let me do it now, and then when we get to it, hopefully you'll be able to think about it have it sort of in the back of your mind. Okay, so if I write this number plate out, 437, and then if I write out the numbers of each letter here, okay, so U is 21, okay, L is 12, and then G is 7. Okay, so what was standing out to me about this number plate now, with it all written out like that, was this palindromic number. Okay, now obviously this is very interesting with Ozzy's death date. of 722. Okay, extremely interesting. And we also have this 127 popping out of here, which is again Madonna gematria. She has the 127 in her gematria. Okay, and I've also shown you the train, the Montparnasse train, also has that 127 numerology on it as well. So it's very interesting. If you don't know what I'm talking about with the Montparnasse train wreck, just put in Paris, Montparnasse, October the 22nd, 18, I can't remember, 95 maybe, something like that. I don't know, but it's 18 something. And that is a train wreck where the train comes out the station. You know, there's a station, the train comes out and smashes on the pavement below. So you've got this very similar thing to Back to the Future, and obviously 10/22 is actually Christopher Lloyd's birthday as well. So it's interesting that the train crash was 10/22. But anyway, I digress. Let's get back to some of these number jumps now. So there's our number plate, kind of half decoded already. Okay, I'll tell you what we do need to do though is let me just go back over the 437. Okay, let's go to this chart. We don't need this anymore. I guess we want to go to this. Do we want to save this? No, don't save it. We'll make do without it now. Okay, we were looking at. Okay, so to cut a long story short, Ozzy is right here. It's the top of the clock tower, which I've shown now it's in a previous video. Okay, this is the Y right here with the clock tower. This is the clock on 10:04. Okay, and there was some other interesting stuff with the wire comes across, and where I showed you all this stuff over here as well with all the numbers. What we were looking at was this block of numbers right here, because Ozzy's death date, the 22nd of July, is running across this way, and we had Peyton Manning's birthday running this way. Okay, 3/24. Now the connection with Peyton Manning and Ozzy was, well, there's a ton of connections, and obviously go back to those previous videos, but Peyton Manning, who plays for Denver, the Denver Broncos, or at least did, he wore the number 18 shirt, and he also played for the Colts, and he wore the 18 shirt for the Colts. And to cut a long story short, he's a double 18, and there is a sexual assault allegation when he was younger, where the and actually this is important, I need to mention it actually, where he supposedly put his 1/8 into the face, which is the two eyes and the nose, the other 1/8 of one of his female trainers or coaches. Now, what is interesting about the story, so we have a double 18 reference, and he wears double 18. Okay. What is interesting about this story is she is giving him a foot examination. So she's bent down, giving him a foot examination, almost like the idea of washing his feet. Okay, so it's a double 18 reference. Her face, his tackle, two 18s, right? Now, bear this in mind. From his birthday to Ozzy's death, this many days, 18 days. Okay, I've got it in the number jumper somewhere. We probably will come across it as we go through. So this is important. He's getting a foot exam. 18/018. Okay. I'll just mention one other thing as well, is that the double O of the 8, again, the analemma, if you were to look at the analemma, really what it is a Pringle, and like a Pringle crisp, when you look at it on its side, it's really just a big circle that's going on there, but it forms the figure 8. Okay, again, if you think about the toroidal field, okay, it's a circle, but if you do the cross section is the 8. Okay, so this, and again with the Ouroboros, you can either have the 8 with the serpent eating its tail, or the circle. So this 1-8 is very close symbolism, just to 10 and 1-8. Yeah, and notice our 10th month is really named for the 8th month. You know what I mean. So anyway, just thought I'd better mention that. So this 18 is super duper important with the idea of let's keep that up for a second. I'll tell you another thing as well. When we get to this point here, okay, this is important, okay, because this, technically speaking, this, where I'm putting the X there, is the middle of the table, or at least this is the middle between. This is the important part. The 11-18 is the important part of this table. Okay. Anyway, we had the numbers on that license plate right here, the 437. So this is why this got me well interested in the whole thing with that 437 number plate. That's why we've got this decode right now. It's simply because that being there to do with Peyton Manning and Ozzy, I thought that's something to that number plate, and it's taken me a day and a half to dig and keep looking at it to finally figure that out. Boy, I just couldn't let that go. Anyway, again, just before we get off of this, we've got Ozzy's birthday here, the 1, 2, 3, and we can also read it in reverse here with 3, 12 here. And what we have to remember is, again, when we're doing football 10 completion, right here is the 1, 2, 3. It's the 10th Lucas number, and if we do the total up to that point, it's 3, 2, 1. Okay, super duper important. And there is a palindromic number jump that ties the Hoover Dam to 9/11. I can't remember if it was last year or the year before when that occurred. So like I said, not always do these palindromic numbers maybe something happens on them, but it ties, I think it does tie things together, so through that there, through those completion numbers, you can tie 1, 2, 3 is a start over, 3, 2, 1 is the is coming toward is the countdown. You can tie things together. And obviously, if we're dealing with the next event that sort of is the culmination of being in the 9/11 matrix, then it would be the fact that the Hoover Dam and 9/11 are connected by that palindromic number is pretty interesting. Okay. What else did I want to mention here? A couple other things. A lot of people dying at 76, and that is a 2-9 reference. If we do the cross reference like a times table chart, and again, that is super interesting because of because of the age of people dying at the minute, and 2-9 is the day after 9-1, and we're really looking at the midnight hour, 9-1 into 2-9. Why? Because 2-9, let me just repeat myself, 2-9 is the combination of 11 and 18 added together, and it's also the individual reductions of 11 goes to 2 and 18 goes to 9. So the beauty of number 29 is that it keeps it combines both elements of the metaphysical and the physical, but it also keeps them keeps their individuality as well. Okay, they're not just completely amalgamated. So that's what's important about that. Notice that it's the 7th Lucas number. It's in the 7th column. 729, the white wedding, the big white wedding, Princess Diana and Charlie Boy. Yeah, so Bride of Chucky stuff. And again, 2-9 is our next day after 9-1. Yeah, it's the white wedding again. Okay, super duper interesting. Okay, let's get rid of some of this crud. What am I forgetting off here? I don't even know why I even came on here. I really just came on here to show you the 437 that's here, and this connection in here. There's a ton of other people that connect into this stuff. I'm thinking like Prince George actually ties into these numbers here, obviously with the name George and the 423 and his birthday. But we don't want to get too sidetracked. So yeah, Ozzy the metaphysical, yeah, and this whole reference to football. Okay, that's what I didn't explain was, okay, so the thing with Peyton Manning, if you've watched my previous videos then you already know this, but if you're new, Peyton Manning has the call Omaha. Okay, and Omaha also references back to 6/6, okay, 1944, D-Day, and on the side of that alarm clock in Back to the Future, okay, the little alarm clock with the Denver Broncos, yeah, sign in the middle of it, the D for D-Day, okay, and Peyton Manning playing for the Denver Broncos, for Denver, okay, and Denver, the connection to the Colorado River as well was really important, and The Shining and everything else. Anyway, from that day on, from 6/6, it's 88 days to 9/1. Okay, and I will explain. There is actually there's a 10 reference. There's several other references in that scene in Back to the Future, so we'll go to it because I want to explain a couple of things on that as well before we get into the blimmin' number jumps. But anyway, the connection to Omaha with Ozzy is the Wizard of Oz. Okay, when the wizard returns home, he's going back to Omaha, Nebraska. Okay, and Dorothy's going to go back to Kansas, but he takes off and leaves her behind. Okay, in his balloon. Okay, again, the metaphysical, the balloon. Okay, yeah, so he's going back to Omaha. And then I think about things like I'm getting sidetracked again now, like A View to a Kill with Zoran, who is in the blimp, crashes into the Golden Gate Bridge at the end of it. They have the whole story of White sinking Silicon Valley, a bit like Lex Luthor's plan in Superman. Okay. Anyway, but and there's the Mayday reference in there as well. Mayday is the twin date for 9/1. Okay. Anyway, oh dear. Like I said, this is going to take a little while to go through. So we've done pretty much everything that I wanted to do. But you know, that is the reference, Omaha. And again, the idea of what happened in World War II is the Allies came out of the sea and landed on the beach, Omaha Beach, and there's a couple other beaches, Gold Beach and something else. I don't know what the other, I can't remember off the top of my head what the other ones were. But this is the idea of coming out of the sea back onto land to recapture or to wipe out the forces of darkness. Okay. Was there anything else on this? I'm just thinking. No, I think rather than try get like, you know, I mean, I'm basically going through a lot of the stuff that we've already been through, like, you know, 722 back to 314. Yeah, back to the two pi references. 722 is a pi reference. 314 is obviously a pi reference, and that number jump matched up with the 131 on the train in Back to the Future. Okay, it was 131 days. Now, what's interesting about 131 is that also ties to Madonna. Okay, and so the connection with 131 and Madonna is from Madonna's birthday through to Christmas, which is very important because Madonna being Mary, okay, and then the birth of Christ, so the mother and the son, it's 131 days. So the 131 is super duper important with this idea of, you know, again, the mother and the son, yeah, Mary and Christ, okay, and so this reference to going back to, you know, 131, going to another pi day, and again, that pi day is obviously Albert Einstein's birthday, who the dog in Back to the Future is named after, okay, and he's our first time traveler, and so, you know, we're tying back to time travel and back to the first time travel event, which is going to actually tie us into, boy, we're going to be going around in circles now. It's going to tie us into, well, I got it up here. Oh boy, there's so much to do here. I'm so sorry about this. This really should be about 5 or 6 different videos. Okay, oh, I want to do that as well. Blimmin' hell, there's an absolute ton of stuff. First time travel date in Back to the Future, October the 26th, 1985, which is tying us back into the birth of the FA, the Football Association, okay, which is October the 26th. Now, you might have actually heard some people mention about this October the 26th and Ozzy's death date, because I think I've got that in. Where's that now? No. Sorry, this is going to be pretty painful. No, that's a blank. That we need to do. Here we go. Let's watch this one. Okay, this isn't it. But what is this one? This is Aston Villa, isn't it? Versus the birth. I don't know, actually. I think probably somebody did this already, because he had the game. So, okay, we're going to come back to the FA, the Football Association number jumps in a minute. Just note that it ties in with the first Back to the Future number jump day, okay, which is October the 26th. But right, where we're at here, this is not Aston Villa. What is this? Oh, I know what this is. Okay, this is the release, and in fact, somebody probably did this in a video. I'm sure they must have done this. Let me get to the right here. So with the Oklahoma thing, oh, blimmin' hell, Dan, what are you talking about? That actually is probably a reason why we had Oklahoma with the Thunder in the. I'm just wondering actually if it's a reference now to Omaha with the Thunder winning down in Oklahoma there. Oklahoma, the Homer. It's got the Odyssey written by Homer as well. Right. Mama, I'm Coming Home. This song by Ozzy. It's the release date of the song by Ozzy. Okay, the 18th of November, 1991. Now, we can already see the significance of that, can't we? Yeah? Well, now, get rid of all this. Can I go back that far? No. How do I get rid of that now? Let's go to this. Don't save. Gosh, sorry about this. I don't know if I can just... Okay, ready? Okay, clean slate. Oh, so annoying, this thing. This was the center of the table here. Here is our middle points, okay? So you can see that 1118 is well important, yeah? It's Mickey Mouse's birthday, by the way. And it's 1991, okay? Another palindromic number, okay? With our 9-1 reference, basically. So it's a really important date because the center of this thing is the home, okay? So again, this is really, really important for the reference back to 9-1 and the reference back to, again, I don't know, home and balance, essentially, right? Now, let me tell you, let's go to his, let's go back to this, right? And now let's note the 411 run time as well for that. So, can you see in there the mama and the home, yeah, creating the Omaha, yeah, Omaha, in those two words, just combine them, Omaha, okay? Oh, that's, you know, to me, this is super important with the Omaha thing again, okay? Now let's look at the number jump. No, wrong one. Let's look at the number jump. 1, 2, 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3. So what, Dan? So what? Well, 1, 2, 3 is Ozzy's birthday, yeah? Back to the beginning, okay? On his death date, 7/22. Back to the beginning. Important, and this is a completion. 1, 2, 3 is the 10th Lucas number, the completion, the 10, yeah, the football, the phallic symbolism, and the O, the ball, okay? The foot is the phallic symbolism, and the O is the ball, yeah, the sphere is the ball. And I always shout out to, trying to think, Lindsay Marie. She mentioned that the Wizard of Oz is playing at the Sphere, at the ball at the Sphere in Las Vegas. Obviously, Las Vegas, you know, Hoover Dam's just down the road there. And obviously, if something did happen at the Hoover Dam, you know, we've got the pyramid there, and so what you're going to end up with is the Exodus. Okay, you know, you're going to end up with something very biblical going on if the Hoover Dam goes down, because obviously Vegas is going to be without power, without water, although they did put a lower water inlet, so they could probably keep going for a while, but you're going to see mass exodus out of Egypt. Anyway, 33 years, 246. Let me show you something. Let's go Back to the Future, because I want to go back to the scene. We decoded this scene. We can actually go back to it in here. We're going to go in back to just right before the TV. Okay, so here's the clock. So we want to go back just a little bit more. Here's the D-Day clock. Okay. The Denver Broncos, it's an alarm clock. Yeah. Notice all the bills everywhere as well. I think that was Journeyman that pointed that out. ages, years ago when we were decoding this clock before. Past due. The bill that's past due. Yeah, the bill. Yeah, this is what we operate in. It is a debt system. The bill is the dollar bill, okay, and it's past due now. So there's a couple of things I want to show. Here's the clock, and we did the clock. That's D-Day, and Omaha is a reference to D-Day, and Peyton played for the Denver Broncos. Okay, this clock here is referencing 6/6 D-Day. 88 days on this clock here, we're getting to some form of a flood, water pouring out everywhere. Okay, I would just note as well that you have the X here, which could be a 10. It could be a whole bunch of different symbolism going on here with this X. Notice it's going through the number 12 here as well, which is the 12 o'clock hour. That's kind of interesting. And I will show you just one more. Oh, so much to get through here as well. This clock here, just make a note of this. Well, I was just saying about the 1118. Okay, an abbreviation of 1118 is obviously this clock is on 811. Okay, and that is, if you like, an abbreviation of that number. Obviously, it's going to be difficult to do that in a clock where you want this clock to be somewhat similar to the rest of the clocks going around, maybe. But what is interesting about this clock here is, let's do a number jump with just this clock here really quickly. So it's on 811, which is actually 8:55. It's not on 8:55, it's on 7:55. Excuse me. Let's hang on. So this clock is on. So the hour hand is pointing towards the 8, and it's on the 11. Okay, but it's actually 7:55. Okay. So let us now move on to 9:01. How many minutes do you think that's going to be? Okay, so we've got to go 5 minutes to get to 8, then another hour, which is 60 minutes, so that's 65 minutes, plus one more minute to get to 9:01. So to 9:01, this is another 66 reference right here with this clock. Omaha, D-Day, 6/6, okay, and that is giving us that reference there back to the 1st of September. Absolutely blooming nuts, that is, isn't it? Okay, I almost forgot about that. And there's some other stuff going on actually with the 66, like the sugar here. I believe this is actually sugar in here. It's almost like one of them syrup pourers, but it looks like sugar in there. So we can look at some of the gematria with that. We'll come across that later, and the teaspoon here as well. Anyway, I wanted to point this out in this scene, which is this wire here making the Z, like the lightning bolt type thing. So we've got this wire here making the Z, or the Z, if you're American. Okay, super duper important with the O, or the whichever O you want to pick out of here. Yeah, I don't know what else to say for Ozzy. Okay, so that is just that. Why do I want to keep going there? That is just super interesting there. Okay, because I think that's tying us into something here with Ozzy again. Obviously, he ties into this with the Omaha connection and Peyton Manning. Let's get off of this just 1 second, and let me just backtrack just a little bit further. Okay, so you can still see the Z there. This clock here, let's put this on so we can actually explain this. If you notice, the 12 is actually right here, which is making this the 6 down here, which means that this is at 6. This is the 9 here. So this is actually at 6, I believe, 6:42. Now, let me just show you. Let's just go back to that. Where was that number jump? Let me know. I can't remember where it was now. Everybody's probably going, "It's a bit long there, Dan." Okay. So this 1, 2, 3. Note the 33 of Christ. I'll actually show you something interesting here with that reference as well, the 33. But notice it's, just read that number back there, 642. Just read it backwards, 246. Ooh, I thought that was kind of interesting. Yeah, because this is the, yeah, Mum, I'm coming home. Yeah, Omaha song basically. That clock is referencing that, and that clock is also referencing. Well, let's go back to it. That clock is also referencing the X at the top of it, and and we got the 4 at the bottom. Yeah, and this is the 4 pillars. Yeah, so a completion number, and then we're going to see this coming down, water, and you know the Hoover Dam has the 4 pillars. Yeah, right. What else do I want to show you about this? Trying to think what I've forgotten. Oh yeah, so when this does, car at a better price. Right, so when this does finally, this is forming a, you got an X, which again could be 10, could be a whole bunch of numbers, and you've got this 1 here, okay? But what this is this is a P. It looks like somebody, it looks like something peeing. It's a P, okay? And so I just thought that was interesting with the connection to Cairo, which is this thing, okay? The sort of monogram type thing for Christ, okay? Okay, so Kai and Ro, again back to Egypt, Cairo, but this is yeah, that monogram for Christ. So that was kind of interesting with the P. With the P, that was a bit of a stretch, but you know. Anyway, you've also got, oh, stop doing that. You've also got the 1 and the 0 reference right here as well. This thing is hitting into this, okay? And obviously the glass container, the glass, which is, this is going to be super duper important as well. The glass pot, or the glass house, or the glass palace, which we're going to talk about the crystal palace in a minute, which is missing, okay? Notice they've got the clock with the glass dome here. You know, clocks referencing gold and glass here as well. You know, it's all important stuff. Right. What have I forgotten out of here? I can't remember now. I'm going to forget so much stuff in this video. I don't even know where we're at on time. Probably just ridiculous already. Let's start doing some number jumps. So I want to actually tie this back into Madonna very quickly, because if I don't, some of these number jumps won't make sense. So Madonna, so we've got the male dying, okay, with Ozzy. I believe Madonna is going to croak before the Hoover Dam goes down. And when I say croak, I mean Ozzy's probably sitting on an island, sipping a pina colada with David Bowie right now, and Madonna's going to follow along shortly. That's kind of my thinking on the whole thing. Anyway, I believe that we might see Madonna croak before the Hoover Dam goes down, if this is what's going to happen before World War III, so to speak. Anyway, there was something interesting with Madonna. Now, if you recall, we kind of decoded this way back when it came out. It was this funeral rites thing by Madonna that came out, okay? And there's some really interesting stuff in it. In fact, we're going to kind of half decode it again. But what is interesting about this is the release date of this now. Yes, let's see if I've got it up here. Oh, bloomin' hell. I'm going to miss so much stuff out of here, man. There's just too much stuff in here, really. But if I don't put it in here, it won't make sense putting it in a different video, I don't think, without I've got a whole bunch of stuff to try and remind me. Oh, it's right next to it. I must have been thinking somewhat. When did Madonna release the short film Funeral Rites? February 27th, 2025. You can already see it, can't you? Yeah? This is probably going to be it. Yes. February the 27th. Yeah? Through to 7/22. So we've got this number reversal here. So as soon as I saw that, I'm like, this is going to be loaded, you know, because for whatever reason I thought I better go back and check that, because it just made me think Funeral Rites. Well, she did all that stuff. I wonder if anything in there ties in with Ozzy Osbourne, you know. That's what I was thinking in the back of my mind. I thought, well, I better check the date. Oh dear, oh dear. So we've got this mirrored date going on. Okay. What's even crazier is this blooming number right here, this 145. Okay, this is matches up with Aston Villa gematria. In fact, I think it's the reverse for Aston Villa. Okay, the 145. Now, so okay, Ozzy has his essentially his, I hope I say his last rites at the last gig at Villa Park, right? 145, connecting it, right? So we're connecting back to football. We're connecting Madonna now in with Aston Villa, and this 145. Now, what's important about 145? Yeah, I want to keep referring back to clocks, because the clock is important, because obviously we're dealing with time travel, you know, and so we really need to look at 145. You've already guessed it, haven't you, on the clock? Let me draw you a little clock. So if I draw a clock here, and we look, there's the 12, let's put the quarter marks on, 3 and the 9, okay? So if we're looking at 1 o'clock, if we're looking at 145, we've got one hand pointing at the 1, and we've got the other hand pointing at the 9, okay, which is what? 145, sorry, yeah, we've got one hand pointing at the 45, which is 9, okay? So 9, so 145 is 19. Okay, this is 145 is super duper important. It's relating back to it could relate back to reference back to 9-1. Okay, so I just wanted to get that out of the way before we, you know, why won't that go now? Come on, off you go. This I don't know what is up with that thing. It's just so glitchy. Okay. Anyway, this is Aston Villa. I've got some gematria up here. FA Cup, we'll come on to that in a minute. Look at the 88 with FA Cup and the 47. Let's go down to Aston Villa. Okay, the 145. This is also interesting with the 125, because this is again an abbreviation of Christmas, the 1225. So this is important, obviously with Christ and Mary. Okay, because really Christmas is really about both of those things. Anyway, 145, Aston Villa. Let's just take a quick look at. Let's just take a quick look at the. Well, do I really want to? I guess this is a good place to sort of jump away from. I'm just thinking. Hang on. Aston Villa. Okay. Let me show you something with Aston Villa. Let's do some number jumps with it. Look at the. Wish that was bigger. Okay, that's better. Look at what we've got here. We've got the blue, the baby blue, or the Virgin Mary blue. Okay, we've even got a 5-pointed white star. Yeah, The 5 referencing the metaphysical. The white star could be referencing the moon, amongst other stars, you know, especially with the metaphysical, the number 5. And we also have the lion, okay, the lion, okay, so the Son and Mary, yeah, and as I said before, the A and the V, and obviously villa. A villa is obviously the Roman term for just a big house, a villa, okay, so a home reference again. I don't know about Aston. Obviously there's maybe a star reference there as well with Aston. Anyway, pretty much all football clubs have the shield. Yeah, the shield is the dam shape. Okay, so this is important stuff. Okay. Here's another variation of the Villa logo as well, but we've still got the lion and the blue as well. So we got the red and or maroon, should I say, dark red. So you could link that back to the color of blood or the color of wine, which obviously represents the blood as well. So anyway, let's do this November. Let's do the founding date, November the 21st, 1874, and have a quick look, a quick goosey gander at some stuff here. Now, I don't know what I've got here. That's not it. What's this one? No, that's a completely different thing. Let's see what we got here. No, that's a completely different thing. I don't know, maybe I don't have it in here. I thought I did. Yeah, I do. But where is it? That's the question. It's down here somewhere. Here it is. Nope. We're going to come on to that in just a second, actually. Blooming hell. Come on, Dan. This is pretty painful when you don't know where all the tabs are. Here we go. Here's the Aston Villa thing, right? So what I wanted to show you was this connection with Aston Villa's. So we had the 5-pointed star on there. Let me just backtrack because that's the projected date for Madonna to croak on. This is Madonna's birthday. So again, 11/21, 18. Make sure I'm getting this right. 1874. Yeah, I got it written down on a piece of paper. Through to Madonna's birthday. This is kind of a special looking number, 55055. To do with the metaphysical, this is super important. Okay, it doesn't really go to anything important if you click it. But what is really important about that is the fact that it's just a palindromic number and it's the 55s being mirrored. So that's pretty cool, actually. It makes me think of another decode I've got, and it's actually a football decode, and I forgot all about it, and I'll do it another day. Blimmin' hell, it ties it back to trying to think now, back to Guy Ritchie and Snatch and everything. So, but it ties it back to football again through Vinnie Jones. Yeah, if you didn't know. Well, I suppose I'm talking to people that may or may not know this, but in Snatch, in that film that Guy Ritchie does with Brad Pitt, and we've talked about it a million times, Vinnie Jones is in that film, and Vinnie Jones is an ex-footballer. In fact, at one point he actually played for Chelsea, and we'll get on to Chelsea here in a minute as well. At least I think he played for Chelsea. But anyway, what is interesting about this is if we go on to the projected date of what I was thinking, ooh, this could be an interesting date for Madonna to croak on 8/20. Notice that it's 55059, and we had a bunch of I can't remember the exact number jumps, but the 59 was showing up with Ozzy Osbourne as well. Okay, I can't remember what it was exactly, but it was a there was a couple of 5 nines we've had with it. So what's interesting about this, so this connection back to Villa now, okay, if we actually go to the connection with the founding of the FA, the Football Association, and don't forget FA 6-1. These are Madonna's birthday 861 or 168, however we want to write the date. Don't forget that that is numbers that is tying into the golden ratio, and the golden ratio obviously starts with 1-6. So the 6-1 reference and the 161 years and the 25 is also a cup reference, and we're going to talk about the FA Cup in a minute. Super duper interesting that if you go from the founding date through to the 40-year anniversary of Back to the Future, which we just had, it's now 59055. So this would be a really nice, I don't know, it would be a nice reference, wouldn't it? Got this connection with Villa and the connection to, and actually most people refer to Aston Villa as just Villa. So at least around my neck of the woods they do, and we're just down the road from there. So I don't know, but Villa home, yeah. So this is very important, yeah. Okay, so this is a reverse of that number, which is crazy. Okay, tying us back in with Back to the Future now, and the FA. Okay. Right. Okay. Hang on. So we've done all that. I should have that up here in a second. Do I go to the Crystal Palace? Oh dang! What do I do next? There's just so much to do. Let's carry on with the Madonna stuff. I'm gonna have to backtrack on some of this Madonna stuff as well. Especially, we're going to do the relationship to here's like a virgin, okay. And in the music video for Like a Virgin, we have the lion, yeah. So the Aston Villa reference. Notice that Madonna's wearing blue in part of this. But right at the start of this video, we have the Twin Towers reference, so 9/11, and right at the end again, we have it referenced again, the beginning and the end, and we have her floating around in Venice, and we're dealing with that lion walking about as well. So this is an interesting connection, because obviously the idea of villa comes from Italy, from the Romans. Okay, it's interesting that she's in Italy here, and we've got the lion. Just the little connections like that. Okay, I know they're superficial bits and pieces, but it's very interesting. Anyway, what else I want to show you there? Let's see. Before we get onto the FA Cup and tie back to that blooming car, to the Honda, the yellow Honda. Again, that's interesting that it's a yellow car as well. I want to show you something else in that scene as well that'll. Oh. So let me see. Let's do something else that happens in this. Let me just play something here. Oh, blooming hell, we didn't want to get on that pot with the boobies showing.
Other people's grave.
If you can hear the background music here.
Trying to connect to the souls of all the lost.
That background music is Teardrop by Massive Attack. Okay, obviously the connection to Massive Attack is obviously going to be the name Massive Attack is super interesting. Anyway, if we do the number jump from the release of that song by Massive Attack through to Ozzy's death, we've got quite an interesting number there, the 9949. But if we click it, okay, this becomes really interesting because now we're on 1227. We're on, this is Madonna numerology again, the 127. Okay, whack her name in the gematria. I should have had it in there really, but I tell you the other thing that's super interesting with Madonna as well is if you do her gematria with the 2662 of train, and obviously ties back again with Ozzy with the crazy train, okay? Because that's what Madonna is. She is the crazy train, okay? But anyway, this obviously you can see it's got the 227 in it, okay? So this is blooming well interesting. And don't forget that, you know, when we had that number plate, we had those, you know, that number, that palindromic portion of the number plate was, we got rid of it now, didn't we? But it was, let's just draw it back out so we can remind ourselves. 4, 3, which we were discarding, and then we had 7, and then it was 2, 1, 1, 2, 7. Okay, that was our, you know, that was the number there, which is the 127. So you can see how this 127 is playing out quite heavily with this. Okay, we have to remember that 22 and 77 are the balancing twins in the Lucas cycle. Okay, so this is why 2 and 7 are well important as well. Okay, and I will actually just mention one thing. I've almost forgot this again. I've got to remember people putting comments in, but Eva Dame mentioned again. She's mentioned this several times about 722 is the feast for Mary Magdalene. Okay, that is the feast day for Mary Magdalene. Okay, and when we get back to the foot washing stuff, it's not. There's some people that think that there's an unnamed woman that washes Jesus's feet, and some people will say that's Mary Magdalene. Okay, whether it is or not, I'm not getting to the argument about it, but it's just interesting. You know, again, it's just the connection to Mary as well. The other Mary that washes Jesus's feet right before, actually, it's only several days before he's crucified, is Mary of Bethany, which is Lazarus's sister, I think, if I'm getting that right. So again, it's just another Mary thing, and this whole thing with the feet washing, which is again about being clean. It's about the football. It's about being clean before you go into the temple, okay, into the holiest of holies. Right. Don't need that no more, do we? I don't think there was anything interesting further on with this. 1026. Yeah, first time terrible date. Come on. So there was something interesting with that, Dan. Oh dear, come on, Dan, come on. Oh look, and then look, the 27th composite is 146. Oh dear, blooming hell, Donald Trump. So this was actually, I needed to do that click on, didn't I? Because there's even more meaning to that number. Okay, what else have we got? And I'm telling you, a lot of these number jumps that I'm doing, there's 2 or 3 clicks, you know, and we've got some really interesting stuff. What I want to do though is I will, let's just do one other thing here. I thought I had, yeah, I want to, so while we're on this connection back to that, oh dear, I've got to, hang on a minute. What else do I have with funeral rites here? Teardrop. I did have some more. I've got some more stuff back here with funeral rites, but really what I want to do is I want to connect back into. We're going to kind of take a break from Madonna for just a second, and I want to go to again. I got the symbol for the Hospice Maria in here. Yeah, with the A and you got the M, but you've got really an A and a V. Aston Villa mixed up in there, you know. Okay, and that was Mary Magdalene's feast. Thanks again, Eva Dame. Okay, where was it? July 22nd. Okay. What else do I want to do here? We got a whole bunch more stuff. Let's do the FA Cup stuff, okay? Because this is really interesting as well, and then that'll complete our stuff with the car number plate. Okay, so FA Cup final this year took place on the 17th of May 2025. Look at the score. It's Crystal Palace. Obviously, Crystal Palace is the metaphysical, and we've got the Manchester City. Okay. And what is interesting with this result is obviously Man would be representing the 1, and the Crystal Palace is the 0. So we have essentially these two switching here. We have a crossover, which it's kind of nice. Like the 1 being with the O here, and if that makes sense, the 1 here, which is Manchester City, with the O. But anyway, so we had Man City, Crystal Palace, and that was the score. So 10 completion as well. May 17th. Let's do some number jumps from May 17th, okay? And obviously, one other thing with May 17th, I almost forgot about that as well, is if you go to Madonna's birthday, let's check it out. Let's go to May 17th first. Notice it's the 137228, so 137th day of the year, 228. That's May 17th. Now go to Madonna's birthday, 816. Notice it's 228137, so it's her twin date. Okay, when the FA Cup, the FA, the 16 or 61. Okay, in fact, Madonna has some 61 gematria, I think, with Madame X. But what I was going to say, completely forgotten now. Yeah, we've switched places anyway. So the FA Cup, remember what the cup is? The cup of Christ is the Holy Grail, okay? It is the womb of Mary, right? Anyway, you're not going to believe this, right? It just so happens from that day, from FA Cup through to Ozzy's death, 66 days. You just can't write this, I'm telling you. It's absolutely mental. Get a load of this as well. If we go through to 9-1, it's 108 days. So, the 18 reference, we've had so many 18 references now. I just, but the big 18 is this 18 with blooming Peyton Manning, yeah? Don't forget, we're looking at the midnight hour, 9-1 through to 9-2. Oh, look, now it goes to 109, yeah? So we have the previous day reference with this day. Okay, and don't forget that Madonna Guy Ritchie is a 10-9. He's the 10th of September, which again is really nice because it's the 9-1 numerology and it's the day before 9/11. It's the switchover. It gets even better than this though. This gets really mental now, right? Okay, so the FA Cup, right? What I want to do is I want to show you. I've got a date in here, and this is Crystal Palace that just won the FA Cup. Yeah, Crystal Palace's founding date. Now check it out. They've got the 10. This is again Guy Ritchie's birthday. I'm going to go repeat what I just said. We got the 195 in the year. Yeah, Don't forget our number jump from the beginning of the USA to 9-1 this year gives us 195 in the numerology on the day jump. Okay. Again, what is interesting is the club is 119 years old right now. Okay. Now, what's really mental is this bloody number jump here. So we're going from the founding of the club through to 6-6 again, through to this magic blooming Omaha 6-6 coming home. 4-3-7 palindropic. Yeah, this is our number on. Lost the blooming thing now, haven't we? On the well, we've got to get onto that in a minute. On this number plate, yeah. See if I can get to it. Oh, and I'll just show you something else in that scene as well. On that number plate. Now, don't forget what this is really interesting as well. Is the van that we see, yeah. The mayor, the May, yeah. Mary, and the Goldie. The Goldie is okay. The Goldie is the golden ratio, yeah, 1.618 yada 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 with Madonna's number in it, okay, and obviously Wilson. Don't forget that Thomas Wilson is playing Bttf, the corrupted, the ego-driven side of Marty, if you like, yeah, the dark side. And again, what's Madonna right now? Yeah, she is the black pearl, okay, the black pearl right here, okay. Oh dear. But look at the number plate. It's got the 820 on it, okay, and it's actually, we've actually got 2, and then we've got the H there, so we've got another 8, the 6, I think that's a 7, but the 820 is right there on the number plate. Could it be that obvious? I don't know. But anyway, we also have, don't forget, we also have the 4x4 in the scene later on as well, which again, 6-6 was in 1944, okay, so again, and 44 is all to do with balance, okay. It's actually the midpoint of our other table, which, should I show you that right now, just so we can, no, I don't think we really need to go to it, but just as this has a middle of the table here, if we go to this table, there's actually 2 middles to this table. If you invert the table, it's the middle is actually here between the 55, and this is the middle on the way it's set up right now, okay, with the 44. So the 44 is the middle of the table. Couple other things to note is that, again, this pi, this is the pi cycle. Don't forget that the 145 here ties into pi right here. So it's the 9-1 reference with the clock, and obviously the clock is a pi. That's kind of interesting as well. What else have I got going on? I guess I could show you the Madonna stuff right now with the 820. So this is right at the bottom of here. I've got the golden ratio. Both of these are golden ratios. Okay. But what I'll show you is, this is the Fibonacci sequence right here. And in the Fibonacci sequence, obviously we have an 88. And I just matched up this bottom. This is the first, this is the golden ratio here. This is the first 24 digits of the golden ratio. And so we're matching up the 88 that's in the first 24 digits with the 88 that's in Fibonacci, and then we're looking up. So now we can cross-reference, And so what's super duper interesting about 820, which is right here, is if we look up at Fibonacci now, we'll look at the number it's referencing. Okay, 191. Okay, yeah, a palindromic 19, if you like. So that is just super duper important that those two things can cross-reference like that. Also note that this year Easter was 420. So not only does 820 tie into Easter, which is important with Madonna because of, you know, obviously Christ, the connection with Christ and Madonna, but that, you know, again, that is super duper important. And I guess if you just write out normally, look at the 33 above here, which is also really important, I guess. Anyway, I don't want to spend too much time on this. It's just, well, while I'm here, while in Rome, we'll just do it. Okay. What else did I have to mention here? Let's get off of this. Let's go back to this. So we've done the van. Obviously, we've talked about that before. I think I've mentioned it before. But that is crazy, isn't it? That number jumped there, the 437, with the winner of the founding date for Crystal Palace. Yeah, for Mary, for Crystal Palace. And that whole, you know, this whole thing here. Okay, with the let's get to the get back to the car. Yeah, with that car. And of course, I did the decode with the for Mary. If you're new here, backtrack and check out the US Army for Mary decode, because it's absolutely crazy as well. Okay, notice at this point as well, they're under the 9-1 here. Okay, and in fact, what's interesting is they're right now they're in a reversal there. This is the 1 here. Oh no, here's the 1. Sorry, here's the 1, and here's the 9. Okay, the Western Auto sign and the 1 again, the phallic symbolism of the what am I trying to say, of you know, the football connection again. I guess let's just look at something else with the football connection, because this is also going to blow your mind, right? Let's go to this. So you might have heard this, seen this in the news. Donald Trump, they had the final at the MetLife Stadium. MetLife, yeah. I have to think about MetLife, the metaphysical and the living, the MetLife, if you want to break it down like that. But they're going to present. Donald Trump's actually going to present the trophy. Now this is kind of interesting with Donald Trump and this whole contest, I suppose, because I'll just show you the run date ran from his birthday through to his ear wound date, which is the date he's given the trophy here. Now look at the trophy, and we're talking about time travel, or, you know, portals to a different dimension. And there's 2 time travel devices that spring to mind with this looking thing, and one is in Terminator, one of the later Terminators, and the other one is Contact, with what's her face? Oh, I can't think of her name. Clarice, Silence of the Lambs. What's her name? Jodie Foster. But these rings, they're kind of revolving in one another. But before we even get onto the those connections, let me just show you something here. So he's going to present the trophy. Where's old Donny gone? Let's have him just handing it over, shall we? So we can see. So anyway, hands it over to the captain of the team. Okay, James Reese. If I'm saying that right, I don't keep up with football anymore. But no, he's wearing the 24. So he's wearing the number 24. He's the captain of the team, and he's got this bunch of golden rings. Okay, well, now we could go down a rabbit hole there, couldn't we? Let me show you a number jump with this dude now. Wherever I got him. I hope I got him in here. Oof, he might be up here a bit more. What is this one? Let's click on it and see. Nope. Oh, we've got to go back to that in a minute. Oh, that's super important as well. We'll go back to it in a minute. What's this one? No. Can't even remember what that one is. Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. I'm looking for a date here. Let's go backwards. That's blank. It should be down this end somewhere. So I apologise about this, but there's just so much to get through. I've got stuff all over the place. We might be going through stuff here that, well, maybe no. Here we are. Here we go. Here we go. Here he is. Okay. Here's his birthday, the 8th of December 1999, and we'll go through to 9/1. Okay, and what is interesting is this here, 9400. Now note he was wearing the number 24 as well. 24's completion again, don't forget. 24 hours in a day. Yeah, this dude, and obviously with the name, with the Reese name, is kind of interesting as well, with the connection back to Kyle Reese in Terminator. But that number jump there, the 94, okay, yes, it's our plutonium reference. Yeah, we've got a time travel name, we've got this plutonium reference here, and he's wearing the number 24. Now don't forget, well, I thought I had it in here. Gosh, I got so much stuff in here. I've got another thank you to put out there as well for the plutonium symbol here. Yeah, plutonium. Yeah, 244. Okay, this reference to plutonium. Okay, you got the C. You obviously got a C reference with Chelsea, but the 94, the 24, the 244. Okay, so that numerology in there. And don't forget our day of the year with 9/1. Yeah, Blue Monday. Okay, is it going to be a Blue Monday? I don't know. New Order. We'll see. New Order, Blue Monday. Okay, 244 121. Yeah, don't forget. Is this sucker nuclear? No, it's electrical. But I need a nuclear reaction. Yeah, plutonium to generate the 1.21 gigawatts of electricity I need. Okay. Okay. So that I thought was interesting. I thought that was pretty darned interesting. And don't forget, do I have that in here? Let's just look again. That whole thing. This whole contest has started on Donald Trump's birthday, and then they've got it here on the ear wound, handing over on the ear wound date. Okay, absolutely crazy with the 137 again. Yeah, ties in back in with Madonna's birthday with the 137 days left in the year. Okay, what else have I got? Flimming hell. Let's go. What was that one I just clicked on? I'm like, ooh, that's super duper important. Was it this one? No. What, I can't even remember what this is now. 7/11/97. It was something to do with Donald Trump on that. What was it? I've probably got a Oh, so that time travel device, yeah, contact. I've got a picture of it here, that rings. Okay, the contact thing, the release date of contact, July. Obviously, Donald Trump with the 79 right now. The double gold on it will be double gold on 9/1. Okay, it'll be 79 years, 79 days old, double gold. And the 7/11 reference with Donald Trump with 9/11. Okay, in fact, this is half the reason why I even started a lot of this stuff. Was that reference? Look at this, jumping through to 7/13 when he's doing that thing, and it's the 123 again. Okay, it's just mental. I don't think there was anything interesting with that number. I don't think so. No, that was just this is like superficial stuff now, and then there was also, I'm pretty sure I had the number. I did Terminator 2, obviously, because it has look at the runtime here with Terminator 2. The 13/7, the ear wound. It's another reference to Back to the Future. It has. I don't think it actually was Terminator 2, but this is Judgment Day. Okay, and there's several other references back to the Future, like with the tow truck and everything. What was I going to show you with that one? This is probably it here. Okay, it was the 91 coming out in 1991, and there was something interesting about this number jump as well, through to 9/1. What was it? 14. Oh, it had the clock tower and the Queen's death. When the clock stops, the Queen's death, and there was something else interesting about. Oh, it was 237. Yeah, that now jumps to 237, room 237, which ties back to The Shining, ties back to quite a few decodes that I've done, and the 237 is the Hoover Dam. Yeah, it's the corrupted goddess. Okay, so I thought that was worth sharing. I want to do a quick little bit about. Let's go back to funeral rites a minute. I'm going to just mention something in here, and I think we came up with this the last time I was looking at it. But she has this reference in here. There's a 38 and a 22 reference in here. Okay, with the bottom of her shoe and obviously the revolver. Can just about make the 38 out there, and then there's a 22 circled there. But she does this little scene here, and if we just listen to this 1 second, just listen to what she says. Okay.
Say goodbye.
Oh, hang on a minute. I've got to go back just a hair bit more. Right, just listen.
And kissing her red lips to say goodbye.
Kissing her red lips to say goodbye. She's talking about her mother. And then she's got this outfit on. And I think I said last time it's either Cruella de Vil or this character, Maleficent, whatever, however you say that. This is Angelina Jolie playing the character here. But that was what I was getting from that, and the fact that she mentions what we just heard there, where she mentions kissing the lips to say goodbye. So this is based off of Sleeping Beauty, by the way, if you didn't know. Okay, so this idea of kissing the lips, okay, is obviously could tie back to Sleeping Beauty, right? Anyway, I know she doesn't have the horns on and everything else, but it just kind of reminded me of that kind of idea. Anyway, I did some number jumps. What was that number jump? Blumenau. That's Angelina Jolie's birthday through to Ozzy's death. and it came out interesting. 2099 for the prime number. I think there was something. Yeah, that was what was interesting. And then the next one on was the 317. So that's why that was like, ooh, yeah, I like that. You know, tying back with Donald Trump there with the ear wound and the Chelsea thing going on. 317. That's 713. Sorry, read it backwards. So that was interesting. And then what was also interesting about that whole thing was if you go back to the original Sleeping Beauty, what it's based off of, and you look at the gal that was playing that character, did the voice or whatever. Okay, so come on. This is what was interesting about it. Come on, what is going on, computer? It was November the 19th, 1905 for the birthday there. I was just like, oh, really? And then she died in 91 on 1125, 120, again, Christmas numerology, so to speak. Which again, when you take the death of the corrupt matrix is the birth of, the righteous man, so to speak, the birth of Christ, or the birth of Christ within man, Okay, anyway, this is the kind of sidetrack routes. It was just interesting stuff. I want to do this. There's one more thing here with, wasn't there something else with Like a Virgin? Yeah. So let me show you this. This is the release date of Like a Virgin. So we had the connection with Villa, Aston Villa, the Like a Virgin with the lion in the video, and the villa and Rome, not Rome, but Venice, Italy, that connection to the villa. Okay. Here's the number jump. Right. Nothing spectacular on the surface. Okay. The 874 was the, what was the, I'm feeling like that was the founding of was 1874, so it's just a little bit of superficial stuff there on the end of that. But let's click it. This is what's really important. So when you look at what it is, yeah, 14874 is the 13131 composite number. Yeah, the 13,131st composite number. Super duper important. Yeah, with both Madonna and that tie back with Ozzy now with the Crazy Train stuff with the 131. So this is just like absolutely mental. But what's even more mental is, look, because obviously you could do end date included as well, so it could be that number jump as well. Again, not that interesting. I mean, it's got the 148 in it, which is to do with Pluto. But if we click it, and actually 14.8, yeah, I mean, it is fairly interesting. If we click that now and we look at the 14,875th composite number, it is 16816. It's got Madonna's numbers right there. Okay, not quite palindropic, but it's got her birthday right in there as well. I just thought, oh, blooming hell, that is absolutely crazy, isn't it? Okay, it would have been even better if it had been perfectly palindropic as well, but whatever. Okay, right, now to go through the rest of these bits and pieces and see. Okay, I want to show you one more thing, right? So, where is he? Thank you to Coin Researchant. Okay, he mentioned, what am I looking at here? I had him in here. There he is. He mentioned that the host at the gig, at Ozzy's last gig, was this dude. Yeah, Aquaman, if you like, the man that cut from the sea. Again, very interesting reference. But as Coiban Researcher said, a bit of an odd pick, but it's not that odd when you consider his birthday with the 8-1 in it again, the 18. Remember, the 18 it is the phallic symbolism, yeah. And this is the idea is to take back control of the matrix, come out of the matrix. This is the reset. Everything gets wiped out and it starts again. And what that does is it puts the physical man back in charge. Okay, so we're not, off in metaphysical la la land being controlled by like the legal system. That's all man, for the most part, is all man-made ideas. In fact, the legal system technically is all man-made ideas. Okay, when you jump into natural law, you go from kind of the civil kind of side of things into what is proper law, God's law, natural law, when people harm other people. Otherwise, you're in the legal system, which is contract law, which is all made up nonsense. Although it is based loosely on ideas within natural law, those legal laws can be changed at any time. Okay, so you're controlled by fiction essentially. Yeah, you're not in the real world, so to speak. And this is, the reference to the phallic symbolism again is the reference to the physical man or physical mankind. Okay, men and women together living in the physical form. Don't get confused with male and female. When yes, that phallic symbolism is referencing both males and females. It's referencing the physical body or the physical world, okay? Which is important, okay? Because that is the salvation. Just as Jesus Christ is the salvation, you can link him back now to the natural world, to the physical world, yeah? Again, back to that idea of the phallic symbolism, because we're dealing with a set of rules in the physical world that are not changed. They're put there by God. They are set in stone, so to speak, which is physical matter. That is the stone that it's set in. Okay, the Ten Commandments in the physical stone, the stone tablets, and that is the Savior, because you cannot change those rules. They are there. They're immutable. Okay, non-changeable, and that's where you'll find your salvation, is understanding those laws, rather than trying to keep up with legal mumbo jumbo or whatever. Okay, if you can understand natural law, unless you harm another man, you can. I'm pretty certain that if you're in front of the right judge, at least, you can pretty much. You won't have any problems, not paying tax and not and dealing with, civil issues to do with the system. You could deal with all of that stuff very simply if you know natural law, but not a lot of people do. Video for another day. Anyway, this dude, from his birthday, 8179 through to 66. Okay, nothing on the surface that looks majorly interesting. Click it or tick it. 1936. That doesn't. It's a prime number. Well, yeah, okay, that's kind of interesting. Again, 1936 ties back to the Hoover Dam. There are technically two dates for the Hoover Dam. There's the 30th of September 1935. And that 30th of September obviously ties back to people like Eric Stoltz, the Black Marty, and there's also the 1st of March 1936, which is the federal sort of takeover of the Hoover Dam. I call it it's like you have two birthdays. You have an actual birthday, and then you have the sort of Into the Matrix birthday. Anyway, 1936 does tie us back to the Hoover Dam, but that happens to be the 44th square. Unbelievable. When you're doing these little click-ons, I mean, it's just crazy. And then when you look down, you think, oh, look, here we go. That just happens to be also 1640th composite. So it's this, and again, 1640 is Doc's address. Yeah, 1640 Riverside Drive. And again, yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. It's just crazy, isn't it? What do you say? Oh dear. Just little things like that just keep tying back. I mean, I don't think I've ever come across as many little connections as well. Usually there's a couple of good connections and then a few little connections as well, and I'm usually getting hot about a date, but this is never ending now. I mean, every time I do something, there's a dozen things to check, and it's super interesting. There's tons of super interesting numbers popping out right now. I don't know what else to say about it. Look, Ozzy had, where is it? Osmosis. Osmosis, this idea of water going through a membrane. That's quite a nice idea, isn't it? Osmosis. And if you look at the numbers here again, 23rd of October, which again is 123 numerology, okay, and if you do the number jump, yeah, 10/23/95 through to 91, look, 10907. And why is that important? Okay, because when you go to see where Ozzy is when you go on here and you see that Ozzy is this, yeah, and this is the top of the clock tower here, yeah, which is the Y in Ozzy. So this makes Ozzy's name right here. And look where the 197 is on our wire coming across. In fact, I want to say they're going to have the FA Cup on the 16th of May next year. Maybe not. I don't know. I can't remember now. But 197, yeah. 197. I mean, we're talking about that wire. Look, 29 years, yeah, with our balance number and then the 314 on the end of it. I mean, that's just okay. It's is there anything interesting with it? No, not really. I don't think. No, not technically anything majorly interesting there at all. But it's just the fact that that number shows up in here, 197 off the bottom of Ozzy, where the wire travels again in Back to the Future. Okay, I think we're nearing the end now. I'm running out of steam anyway. Did I have another number jump with Like a Virgin? I really can't remember anymore now. I think we've done them all. What was this one? We did that, didn't we? That was the one. Yeah, that was. Oh, look at this one as well. 144. No, 114. Yeah, we did that. That was the 237. I mean, kind of got to the end here now. That was the Like the Virgin one, which was super duper interesting because of her birthday, and then also going back a day was the 13131, and then we did her stuff. Aston Villa coming out with the 5555 on her birthday, and then when we looked at Aston Villa through to her potential death date, 55059, which also tied in with the connection with the Back to the Future start date, the 40th anniversary of Back to the Future, the first time travel, and this is the beginning of the FA. I mean, you know, what else have I got in here? We did that, we've done that. Just crazy. And this all started from just looking at that number plate, basically. This is interesting. So if you recall, we had did we do this? I'm not sure. But when you go back 127 days anyway from 9-1, because we had that number, the 437, okay, and then so from there on it was 21127. So we were looking at this number here, that was underneath, right here. Yeah, the 7. So we had 127 repeated. Again, that's on that train, and that's the 127. When we went back, it was 427. Now, it's not the right year, but the 427 was the release of Teardrop. And if you watch that video by Massive Attack, it's a baby in a womb. Okay, that's the video. Okay. Oh, Mum coming home. We did that. The numbers on that are well important. Ozzy's also got. We've talked about the washing of the feet and why that's so important to be clean, going into the temple, going home, yeah, and being clean is being balanced. I think we've done everything. Boy, now I can't remember what the number jumps were, but let's go to the gematria and I'll just show you a few things with gematria, because 38 is referenced in here, and so is 22 and everything else. But I think we do need to just have a quick look. Oh, I'll tell you another thing that was interesting as well. Remember, with Peyton Manning, remember his name, also the first 3 letters can anagram for PYE, for pie. And we mentioned the foot inspection. He was having his foot checked, or his feet checked by the woman. But also that 722, which was his 18 number jump day, they also released the Denver Summit logo stuff as well, which was interesting, with the connection back to football again, and soccer football through American football with Peyton Manning. So there's a nice little tie in there, and the idea of Summit, add stuff up, or even to submit, which is another thing. Yeah, so I don't know. Boy, what my oh, and I'll tell you, the FA Cup this year as well was the 144th final as well. So that was another interesting 12-12s. Yeah, the idea of so that's a cube number and the 12 in it, and also the 12 Fibonacci number 144 as well. So is that super important as well? The 144,000, of course, springs to mind. Blah de blah. I really think we've done everything, Let's go to the gematria and let's just whiz through a few of these just so I can show you a few things. So if we just go down, in fact, let's just pull up a little bit more. We've got the bottom there. Maybe not so important, but let's just do this. Put this on. Yes, I know red rum and murder are the same words, so they're going to be the same here. But the reason why I just put red rum in is just because of this connection back to The Shining, back to Colorado, because part of The Shining was filmed there or whatever, or the hotel. They use an amalgamation of hotels, but part of that hotel is in Colorado, and obviously the Colorado River is what feeds Lake Mead and goes through the Hoover Dam there. So red rum in the film, super duper important. Murder obviously is the same word, well, not the same word, but the same letters. And it's 79, 83, and 38. Now, Hoover, 83, 38, 79. Okay, so just bear that in mind. Also, the FA Cup was well interesting, because obviously you've got the 6 and the 1 with the FA. We've got the 47, and 47 was just in football news, so to speak. Not FA though, that was FIFA, I think, doing that one. And then we got the 88 in there and the 25. 25 is important with the reference to the chalice again. In that scene in Back to the Future, I thought this is probably worth mentioning, is sugar is 66. Okay, and they've got it right there, and obviously we've got a 33 in the reduction there, and coffee pot that is missing obviously is a 33 as well. Okay, so the coffee pot, which is it, what's funny about it is it's actually really a metaphysical idea. So the fact that it's missing, it kind of re-references the idea of it being a metaphysical thing. It's not really there, it's really an illusion. Most of these ideas are that we bring into existence. Anyway, the villa was interesting with the 79 popping up again. I'm not so keen on just single bits popping up. Oh, that's interesting. My things moved up with the page. What was interesting though is this Omaha and the gold, and obviously the connection back with the Hoover Dam, or just Hoover, with the 38, the 20, the 20, the 97 instead of 79, and then the 25 showing up there as well. So, just interesting stuff, the Cairo, okay, with the 6-1 there, with the FA, the 101 matching up with the Hoover Dam, the 47 matching up here, you just go around in circles with it all, but there's definitely something. The main thing really is this Omaha, and the fact that it does match two things with Hoover, and it does match with gold as well quite nicely. So it ties that lot together quite nicely. And we've obviously the gold clocks there and everything else. And the gold clocks reference again, like the thing that Christopher Walken in Pulp Fiction has to have up his backside is the gold watch. The gold watch represents the sun, yes, and obviously the sun being in the tomb and then being resurrected, when it comes out. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there because it's just wiffly waffly stuff. But yeah, the feet, the football reference is basically a reference to the physical and the metaphysical. Yeah, you need to be washing those feet. The foot is the phallic symbolism, or is a metaphor for the phallus going into the home, into the temple, into the holiest of holies. When you go into that thing, this must be clean. This must be clean. When we go into the metaphysical, we must be pure and clean. We must be balanced, because if we're not, what we've got out there now is the result, a completely corrupted matrix. That's what the Bible's telling people. Okay, it's repeating that message over and over and over and over again. It's repeating the message about natural law being the salvation to, man-made fictional ideas, man-made corruption. Okay, nothing necessarily wrong with um, having ideas and making things and doing that, but we need to keep the thing balanced. And it's extremely difficult to keep balance once that temptation is there. Okay, I'm calling it quits. Alright, thanks for watching. Flimming hell, it's probably going to be a long one. Alright, bye.